Good day, everyone. We are here at the Iron Sharpens Iron. This is a space of thinkers, not a religious space, not a political space, but as an expression of people who are thinkers, entrepreneurs, and leaders, and we stimulate that within you, especially in this rough time and the rough season. We want you to think your way out. It's not a question of feeling different, it's a question of thinking different. So we are here today, and I'm excited. I'm with my sister and my friend and a leader, the beautiful Dr. Makosi Khoza. How are you?
I am very, very good, Pastor. I'm very good. Thank you very much. And thanks for having me.
No, man, I'm excited to finally we have this. We've been trying this and it's been playing its own games with technology. But we are here today. Who is Makosi? Before she's a doctor, before she's a politician, who is Makosi Khoza?
Makosi is a woman born and bred in Pietermaritzburg, in Edendale, somewhere. There is a place called Haywood. It's a very small area. I was brought up by my blind paternal grandmother. And she's the one that, helped mold my character. She was the kind of woman that would push you to being the best, to unleashing the best in you, your full potential as a human being. And I also have a very strong mother who is a geometric beadwork artist. Never been to school, but absolutely amazing with her hands. And my father was also umfundisi waseZayoni. I know that you don't know that. My father was umfundisi waseZayoni, and he was a very wonderful man. I mean, everybody loved him. I'm telling you, even politicians loved my father because he was such a talkative, and he always had his theories, So I'm that kind of a person. I think I'm also a very forgiving person, and especially in times of crisis. And maybe that is something that I take from my father, because my father was that kind of a person that will always say to his children, if my father wronged us, he was not like a typical Zulu man. He will call all of us together and say, my children, I'm sorry. If I lie to you, you are also going to go out there and perpetuate the lie. I know I am guilty, and please, I beg for your forgiveness. And that's the kind of family that I came up. I grew up in. I also have white parents. I have two sets of parents. I have my biological parents, and I have my adoptive parents, Anne and Aaron. Aaron is a Jewish man and Anne is an English woman. They are now in the UK. Those are the people also that were in my life. Anne gave me a sewing machine when I was 13 years old as a gift. And that is why at the University of Natal, everybody used to say, when do you get time to make all these beautiful things? Because I used to make them duvet covers. I used to make my own clothes and stuff like that. And thanks to Anne, because she taught me how to fish, and she never gave me any money, any pocket money. She would say to me, there is a material, and do something about it. And from there, I would just do things for myself. So basically, I'm very blessed in that way. I'm very, very blessed. And I have my brothers and sisters, and we are a very close bunch. Yeah.
Nice one. Even though I'm still waiting to hear your story to me, I've known you for a long time. I didn't know, so you must say sorry somewhere for some reason,
What is it that you didn't know? What is it that you didn't know? Because I only told you about my father. By the way, I never speak about that, but I think Dube, because he's the one that was when my father died. Dube, the usual Dube,
Yeah.
he's the one that actually was presiding over his funeral. And I mean, he was also amused by the theories about my father, you know, because my father used to say, hey, you can't tell me that there's nothing called issues, because even Ujesu issues, he died, you, you know.
We've been close for a very long time, but we kept that secret. It's okay. Let's move on. Strong
Okay,
mother.
I apologize.
What are you talking about when you talk about a strong mother? This concept of a strong woman, it's so popular now, and it get to be interpreted in many ways. What is a strong woman? Other people think a strong woman is a rebellious woman. A strong woman is a rude woman. A strong woman. So, what is your definition of a strong woman?
I think there are misconceptions about, what constitutes a strong woman. And I think you also have to appreciate that we live in a patriarchal society. When a woman is assertive, most of the time that is always confused with aggression, because society expects us to be submissive. They expect us to, just absorb whatever blows that are thrown at us. I think there is that misconception. And again, women are not expected to be thinkers. And when they express themselves and they don't seem to be following, they are not part of the head mentality. They are seen as being rebellious, when in fact they are being who they are. So I don't take kindly to those kinds of labels, because I've had those kinds of labels a lot. I've had those kinds of labels. And I think, strangely, the only person that understood my character in the ANC where I was involved, I was told that Batabile used to tell people that Makos is not what you think she is. And I was quite humbled by that, because I used to get those kind of labels a lot. I speak my mind, and I think allow women to be who they want to be. Women are not aggressive. I mean, there are no wars that were ever started by a woman internationally. I mean, women are always associated with peace. We are the channel of life, and that is always the strength of almost all women. Very few women actually, of course, there are exceptions. I'm not saying there aren't, but yeah, that would be my response to you.
Let's switch the roles. Be be a man that has to be in a relationship with Makosi. And this Makosi, who is a thinker, this assertive Makosi, and you're an African man who's never been trained to handle a powerful woman, because our culture and tradition, where we come from, we were never trained to handle a powerful woman, and also women were never trained to handle the power they have. It is what I call unexpected developments. How would you handle this woman called Makosi if ever you were a Thomas involved in this Makosi's life?
Let me tell you, most men, they make that mistake. They confuse the public strong woman out there. And in my experience, and most women that I know who are very strong. Now, I'm talking about Maya Angelou. I'm talking about Winnie Mandela. I'm talking about all those type of women that are, carry these labels with them. I know that when it comes to, most of the time, and that's been my observation, they know, that a relationship, you can have a relationship when I am at home. And the reason why my husband and myself were very close, and the reason why I never got married after my husband passed away when I was 28 years old, it's because he understood me. When I was at home, I knew that I have to leave Makosi, the deputy mayor of Maritzburg. I had to be Makosi, the wife, the mother at home, you know. So I'm saying these are all misconceptions. Women, in fact, they turned up to be very loving and they are very affectionate, but their public face is always confused with their normal life at home. And it doesn't work that way. At least to those women that I know who are very smart, they understand that you can't bring that here. Sometimes in society, you are forced to assert your point because they are not willing to listen, you know. And in an environment where it's a loving environment, it's a soft environment, you are able to be who you are. You might actually find that I may not be able to shed a tear when I'm standing there in front of the people, but in the comfort of my home, I'm able to. I'm a human being. That's when you become in touch with your emotional side, because we try to put this side that is imbokoto. Imbokoto is not, has no feelings. You put that imbokoto face when you are with the public. But when you are at home, you assume your human flesh, you assume your spiritual side. You know, you are a soul after all. You know, you get in touch with that.
If you were not my friend, I was going to ask you a question. I was going to say, are you controversial? But since you're my friend and my sister and I know you, I would say, what is to be controversial?
Well, let me tell you, controversial, maybe I am. As I said, if you don't follow the herd mentality, you know, you are in a way controversial, because you are going into uncharted terrain. And that's me. I mean, even in the academic world, when I taught people that isiZulu is mathematics, people were like, everybody, even professors who've been teaching this language for a long time, they didn't know that. And when I started playing numbers with them, they were like, whoa, you know, what's going on? Hey, you love to be controversial. Now, how do we tell people? You are now saying we must take our own academic gowns and bend them up, because that means we've been teaching people nonsense all these years. And I was telling them that's precisely the point. You guys, you always want to put the label controversial when it's actually a groundbreaking. We love to make to break new grounds, and that is something that I do. Even at home, I do that. You know, I'm the one that introduced at home. They never understood this thing. I said to them, well, listen, with me, I don't care what. When we have something, maybe it's a funeral, it's a birthday, it's whatever. I engender the culture, the fruit culture at home. I mean, everybody who's attended anything that's got to do with Kwakoza, you will find that there will be stations everywhere of fruit, because there is something beautiful about fruit. There is something, not that they are only healthy, but I always find that people, you know, start thinking a lot clearer when they are surrounded by that. With white people, it's the flowers. With us, I found that most Black people, when you put fruits around them, you know, they just melt. They just come down. Even if they are emotional, you find them beginning to, you know, somehow I find them, you know, yeah, calmer, a lot calmer than they would if they went there. So I'm saying I always pay attention to detail, and paying attention to detail can be confused with being controversial.
So that's why I'm so calm, because I only take my intake of sugar is only on fruit. I don't take juice, I don't take cold drink, I don't take anything. Now I know why I am calm. Let me just go to this. let me go. Let me go to this. What is the cost of being controversial? Yeah, I think one of the things we would have more people who are controversial, who will break the grounds, but people are probably scared of the cost of having gone through some, harsh. Yeah.
You are absolutely correct. I mean, there is a cost to that. There is a cost. Like, for example, my outspokenness on corruption, for example, you know, it has cost me a lot. I don't know if you know, I've written textbooks and from grade 4 right up to grade 12 and beyond. And I've made breakthroughs that have been approved. However, unfortunately, because I'm such a controversial person, I am finding that even though the schools are supposed to be using those textbooks by now, um, people are scared about, and I understand them, whether it's the university or even the Department of Education in KZN, they are very reluctant to embrace that. They acknowledge that I'm the only body with this system. So there is a cost to that, and we learn as we move along. Sometimes it's not about I'm being honest with you because I want people to understand that you need to be balancing how you do things. You must always balance what you do with your actual purpose. And the tragedy of that to me on my side is that I have the solution of demystifying mathematics and also eliminating the language barrier in South African schools, especially here in KwaZulu-Natal. And because I'm considered controversial, the children are suffering when there are solutions. And it's just that the solutions are coming from somebody that is controversial. So it is sad. I feel sad about that. You know that I also came up with the new alpha. I developed the new alphabetical logic order for isiZulu words, Onguni words, because I discovered that all isiZulu nouns have feature an opening vowel. And the previous scholars, that is why previous scholars decided to omit the prefix of the word. And that has caused disastrous consequences. That is why you will find, the word ibala, for example, you won't find it as ibala, which is wheelbarrow. You will find it as bala, but you will see wheelbarrow next to that. If you are not a Zulu speaking person, you are not a linguist, you don't understand how this prefix, infix, and suffix work, how are you going to know, that's what it is? So I am saying that's the tragedy of my outspokenness.
You are a leader, you are an academic, you are a teacher, you are a friend, you are all that. And right now, you are impacted by COVID. Right now, you are impacted by the unrest that is taking place in our country. If you were to talk to a leader and talk to a citizen right now about what you are going through as a country, what would you say?
I think that this time is one time in history where we needed to renew, to go through renewal ourselves. I've used this time, COVID-19 lockdown, I think I've used it to reflect a lot more than I would under normal circumstances. I'm a firm believer that the universe doesn't throw something at you for no reason. There is a reason behind that virus escaping the laboratory in Wuhan, um, and I think we've been so fast paced. The world was moving at such an alarming speed. And the way it was moving at a speed that was also detrimental to our own, collective health as humanity. And somehow it just stopped, it stopped everything. And everybody suddenly had to sit back. And the way it happened, it didn't even give anybody any time to prepare. And there is something that I am observing. I don't know if you have observed it with this virus. It's something incredible. It seems to be going more for your top leadership in particular. I also had COVID, I had COVID for 10 days. And and I haven't had time to sleep for 10 days. That's the only time I was in bed for 10 days. And I said, you know what? I need to look at this in a different way. I need to look at this as the world, as the universe communicating with us, saying to us, hang on a sec, reflect, recharge, look at what you are doing yourself. Because I think there is a lot of harm that we are doing. I also think that this period is a period where, if you are a writer, it's a beautiful time for you to write. I had stopped writing poetry in a long time, but I'm back to that now. I now write, and I'm finding I have more time to do that. Yeah, I think we need to look at it in a different way. The problem is that we are looking at this virus in a panic mode. Even the way we are handling the whole vaccination situation. You are having so many vaccines that are coming up whose efficacy has not yet fully been established. And you are made to take this vaccine, but then there are these effects. And so it's just madness. It's a period of madness. I mean, look at South Africa. You go and procure vaccine from India, and only to find that these vaccines are expiring within the next week or something like that. So we are panicking. I don't think we are actually handling, the leadership is handling these issues properly. I think people like you, Pastor, they have a much greater role to play now, because this is the time when we're supposed to be really embracing spiritualism. This is a time when it's no longer about just science, because we've tended to think that the word of science is the only word that is that is stronger. Now that is true. Everything else, it's superstition, or it's this, it's that, or whatever. I think we need to actually, we must start seeing, we must start looking at these realms, the convergence of these realms, as not necessarily contradictory, but as complementary, because there is something that we still don't understand about the soul. And as scientists, we talk about it, but we've had many encounters of people who've had near-death experience telling us a lot of things, and it's across the world. They are telling you the same thing. Everybody who's had a near-death experience tells you about a channel, tells you about this light, tells you about these colors they've never seen before. And everybody is telling you that in any part of the world. So there is something that we don't understand. And I think we need to start understanding that we don't have all the answers. When we become scientists and we make breakthroughs, we must just take that as revelation of what is actually true. But that does not mean that is the end, because there is still a lot that we still need to uncover about the world.
That's very interesting. Our time is up, but I have just a question that, if ever you can, it will be a probing question that we will continue in our next session. You've been in the governing party. You've been in different parties. Then one of the things that I say when I teach on leadership, a leader is not the basis of his giftedness, but it is also on his consistency. How would you define consistency from the perspective that someone will say, Marcos is not consistent because she has been in that party and that party and that party and that party? How would you define consistency for yourself?
First of all, I want to remind you something. I was in the ANC for 35 years. I was only in ADEC for a very short time. And now I'm with Action SA. What has changed? I don't wear the same clothes every day, but what's inside me remains the same. Now, that's the same as that. When it comes to principles, when it comes to my ideological orientation, when it comes to my perspectives, nothing has changed. I've been consistent about the fact that corruption is detrimental, corruption is destroying our country, and I have not changed that. So people must not look at the cloth that I'm wearing that's covering the body. They must look at whether my thinking, whether my core values, have they become inconsistent? To me, inconsistency is when you are saying this thing today and tomorrow you say something else. In this instance, if I was to be somebody who is preaching peace, and then the following day I go and shoot people, or I'm seen, engaging in acts of violence, to me, that is inconsistency. But if I am going to be talking about peace today and tomorrow I'm talking about calm, it's still the same thing. I have not detracted. I might also add in that let's reflect that's still the consistency of that theme. So people have to start looking at these issues not at face value, but they must look at them at a deeper level, because there's always something beneath the surface.
Pleasure to engage with you, my friend. Always a pleasure. What's your motto? What's your one-line motto that drives you, and then we'll release you?
Love, 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 111. Thank you.
Thank you.